So recently, the 13 F statements have been released of Warren Buffett, of Stanley Druckenmiller, of course, Peter Thiel, and Softbank made their positions known. So what is the 13 F statement? Well, very briefly, this is just a statement about how much shares companies and renowned investors have been selling and buying. So it gives you a good view of a signal of how the market looks like to these investors and how we can also profit from their strategy, from their direction. So let's get into it. So I will tell you a bit more about what these positions are and how we can profit from that and what the direction will be, especially for tech market, especially when it comes to the Mag 7 and specifically Nvidia. So a lot of these investors, if you look at what's happening right now across the board, if you look at right now what's happening on these statements, they have been selling Nvidia. So if you look at Stanley Druckenmiller, he of course has a bit more balanced kind of statement. But if you look at Warren Buffett, he's taking a stake in Google. Of course, SoftBank has been selling Nvidia. They sold their entire share of Nvidia stake for like 5.5 billion. And if you look at Peter Thiel, of course, he also sold a lot of Nvidia shares. And this could be profit taking. This could be because they see better investments right now in the market that they will invest in the future. Well, if you look at Warren Buffett, he invested a lot in Google. So he invested almost 40 billion in Google. So if you look at this whole Mag 7, you can tell that Nvidia has been the one that's been it's kind of been sold. They're kind of selling Nvidia shares, but this could be profit taking as well. So if you look at the general market, you can see that right now you cannot just say, I believe in AI and I will just throw money at the Mag 7, at Meta, at Microsoft, etc. And all these companies, these hyperscalers, these top seven, they are all investing in AI and one of them will make me very rich. But right now you have to be more critical because if you look at Meta, Meta has been hit heavily with a lot of selling. Meta has been overspending, really doubling down on AI. I think Zuckerberg ever came out and say, look, everybody who has a job at Meta and it's not really doing anything in AI, this will be part of your performance. So end of year, Zuckerberg or your manager, of course, will talk to you, say, what have you done for AI this year? And if you are not really performing up to par, you might get fired from Meta. So Zuckerberg is really doubling down on AI. However, investors are not really that happy. They're not really that content with whole Zuckerberg spending a lot on AI because they're also wondering, because me and you as investors, we're also wondering what is the return? How much money are you generating extra from spending almost like 70 billion every year on AI? What is the increase in profit? What is the increase in cash flow? Because this matters more to investors and to the share, of course. Now, if you look at across the board, again, across the Mag 7, you can tell that people are really picking their winners right now. They're saying Google is the one, because I remember Gemini coming out. It wasn't really that good. It wasn't really better than ChatGPT. However, Gemini has been improving a lot and Gemini 3.0 is also coming out. So this is very, very bullish for Google. So Google is really making a lot of progress in this race. Now, if you look at Microsoft, they are not really advancing way more than they did last year. If you look at Google, that's really the winner right now in this last couple of months. So if you now look at the Mag 7 in general, it's really the time to be critical. It's not just that you can just throw a bunch of money at the Mag 7 and think one of them will make me rich, and it doesn't really matter which one. You have to be critical right now. And now, let's say Meta really is the one that's going to be dragged down even more. The stock price has broken 600 and it could even dive under that 600 if nothing really improves as Meta in the form of spending, in the forms of return. How much return are they generating? If nothing really improves, then this could also affect the people underneath Meta. So all these small companies that Meta is dealing with, so think about CRWV, think about Nvdia, think about IREN, they're all making deals with Meta, with these hyperscalers for their whole AI infrastructure. So Meta wants to build, of course, a lot, and they say, hey, we need geographical space, we need data centers to fire up these AI models to start designing and programming. So we need all that capacity, and IREN, Nvdia, and CRWV is selling that to them. However, if investors are saying, nah, you're overspending way too much on AI and it's time to wrap it up, if they say that to Meta, if they say that to Zuckerberg, then of course this will affect everything down the line. It will affect the whole operation, all the second, the third, the fourth derivatives. So all these companies that are kind of expecting, they are banking on Meta, they are banking on Google, on Amazon, on Microsoft. All these deals will look a lot less. They will look a lot less better compared to like a year ago. So this is something that you need to consider as an investor, that right now maybe you're not investing in the Mag 7, you're investing in the companies that do deals with Mag 7, like CoreWeave, like Nvdia, like IREN. However, you need to consider that once this whole AI hype kind of dies down for this one hyperscaler like Meta, like Amazon, then this will affect everything across the line on the whole operational chain. So this is something you need to consider. Now, when it comes to trading strategies, I expect, so this is not investment advice, but this is what I expect. So how I would trade is that I expect the Nasdaq to stay a bit flat. I expect there will be companies like Apple that will do really well right now, because Apple has not been investing a lot in AI. They kind of sit on the sidelines. They do the sit and wait approach. They want to see what other companies are developing, and then of course Apple wants to jump in and buy the best of them. They have that cash on deck, and Meta does not have that cash, but Apple does have that cash to say, hey, I'm going to invest in the best, in the winner, in the top 3. I want to buy them all, and they will all work for Apple under the Apple brand. So this is the Apple strategy when it comes to AI. Now, Apple has been really like going up the last couple of months because it's a kind of a negative correlation with the rest of the Mag 7. So if the rest of this AI hype kind of stocks, like the Mag 7 stocks, the hyperscalers go down, Apple kind of stays stable, or it could go up because they are not really that affected by AI. They're not really that affected yet because they have chosen a different route, the different strategy when it comes to investing. So this is something that you need to consider if you look at the Mag 7. Don't look at them as this one group anymore that will go in the same direction, in a similar direction. Once AI goes up, it's time to be critical. It's time to question AI. It's time to also question the whole operational chain. Like once these deals start falling through, once Meta says we have been overspending, we need to cut, then this will drastically affect IREN, this will affect Oklo, this will affect Nvdia, this will affect CRWV, all these smaller companies that are doing deals with these hyperscalers. So SMCI as well, they provide racks. Nvdia, of course, has been selling, so this will affect SMCI as well. So this is what you need to consider the next couple of weeks. Be critical, and do not see the Mag 7 as this one group anymore.